Okay, let's try this again. Take two. This is Hiroshi Shive with another Hiroshi Thought Bubble, and today we're going to talk about cryptocurrency. We are going to discuss some of the news that's been going on. Again, crypto is 24/7, so there's news all the time. A lot of it again is like things we're just saying to each other, trolling, FUD. Sometimes it's just direct news. Sometimes it's just speculation. But again, these are some of the stories from popping up, and some stories I'm talking about are stories that maybe not everyone is quite talking about. So let's talk about this. Seen this before. It just kind of made the rounds again, and this is a tweet from Alex DeLuca, and it's a little tweet about the dollar, the value of the dollar. So it says 1 USD drops to 5 cents in 100 years. So safe to say, USD would be considered a shitcoin. So here, if you look at the chart, 1913, the Federal Reserve is created. At that point, the USD was $1, and then it dropped, and then it gained some value. And then in 1933, FDR's executive order made it illegal to hold gold coins, bullions, or certificates. Then it drops again in 1944 when Bretton Woods establishes the USD as the world's reserve currency, and it just keeps declining until eventually the gold window has been closed by Nixon, and then we are at 2013 at 5 cents. So when people talk about the dips and the drops in the value of Bitcoin, you gotta keep that in mind. What it is we're being compared to, really. And then you have this story, and it comes from basically those are trying to retain the current financial economic system, but it's still important to talk about. So this comes from The Guardian. Bitcoin's biggest bubble in history, says economists who predicted the 2008 crash. By Nouriel Roubini, calls cryptocurrency the mother of all bubbles as it falls below 8,000. This article is by Angela Monahan. So this economist credited with predicting the 2008 global financial crisis said a 12% fall in the value of Bitcoin on Friday was the latest proof that the cryptocurrency was the biggest bubble in history and destined for a crash. Nouriel Roubini, the professor of economics in New York University, said Bitcoin was the mother of all bubbles, favored by charlatans and swindlers. So you have that perspective. As it fell below 8,000 early on Friday, making a 30% drop since the beginning of the week as investors become increasingly twitchy by a clampdown on cryptocurrencies by regulators. Later rallied and climbed by over 8,600 by 3 p.m. And let's look and see what the price is as of now. So let's go on CoinGecko. And Bitcoin is at 8,240. So there's been some predictions that it'll hit about 7,500 or $7,000, which is still way up from last year where it was around 1,000. So yeah, but it's again when it was like 800 or 250 or $40. It depends on when you got in, you know how much you're hurting really. Talks about how it plummeted from $20,000. The latest sell-offs that follows reports that the U.S. regulators are investigating whether the spike in the price of Bitcoin in 2017 was a result of market manipulation. Mind you, in the current economic system, we've had silver, gold, oil, the housing crisis. They're trying to bring that back. Those loans, those bad loans that wrecked everybody. They talk about that market manipulation, and here they are with Bitcoin, and it's just a little silly and a little crazy. Many people anticipated and expected this. Bitcoin is not a quick rich get scheme. It's here for the long haul. So hold, hodl, use, invest only what you can lose. This is not financial advice. It's just information. But you have to understand where the basis is coming from for a lot of this criticism is people that are entrenched in the existing financial system that want to see the existing financial system that has the dollar at 5 cents to the value of what it was 100 years ago. They want to keep that going. They want to keep that train going. We're going to talk about another story when it comes to the USD. So here we go. They're comparing it again to the dot-com bubble. I don't think it's an apt comparison. There's like about 1,600 coins, especially if you include initial coin offerings and things of that nature. Robert Shiller, the Nobel Prize winner economist, said last week that while Bitcoin was a really clever idea, it will not become a permanent part of the financial world. Well, there's been some moves and shakes from South Korea, again, Bulgaria saying we have no Bitcoin, to a number of different countries that are investing into Bitcoin in and of itself. There was a story about Montana, Virginia, Nevada, building Bitcoin mining companies. In Montana is the state that's actually investing. Virginia is investing in Virginia Beach and mining companies. So there are people seeking and seeing the future and seeing that this is something that it is going to stay. It's not going anywhere. It will be a financial instrument and it will eventually be the global standard. But there's a lot of people that have a lot to lose if Bitcoin becomes that. So Bitcoin is not recognized by any central bank and currently allows people to bypass banks and traditional payment methods to pay for goods and services. Like, that's an issue. Japan recognized it as a currency. So I think, in a sense, that their central banking system, if the government says it's a currency, does in fact recognize Bitcoin. So that's not exactly true, but I have to look into that about Japan and its central banking system. So, however, the spike in the price is forcing regulators and institutions to consider how to respond. Don Chiffin, the Deputy Governor of Financial Stability of the Bank of England, has said that Bitcoin is too small to pose a risk to the global economy. However, he warned that investors should do their homework before backing the digital currency, which is very much true. The wheels are coming off the Bitcoin bandwagon. That's not true. The India finance minister said this week that the country does not recognize cryptocurrency as legal tender and will take action against those who use its funding in legitimate activities. Well, what is a legitimate activity? U.S. regulators are investigating the Bitfinex exchange, a cryptocurrency company called Tether. They're questioning whether Tether, whose coins are used to trade digital currency, are backed by U.S. dollar as it claims. Facebook has banned Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency adverts on the site. South Korea announced that at the end of December they are planning a crackdown on trading digital currencies, preparing a ban on open anonymous cryptocurrency accounts, so KYC AML. That everyone kind of knew that was coming. The UK Prime Minister Theresa May said last week she's concerned that criminals will take advantage of digital currency, but no one says that about fiat. Look at the whole, HPC banking and the drug trade. And then Stephen Mnuchin, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, signaled that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies would be subject to greater regulation and scrutiny in the world's largest economy. So there's this, and it's a bunch of bullshit. And it's not that difficult to predict that there was going to be a bust. Or a burst. Everyone knew that was coming. There were too many new people that were thinking this is a quick way to make money and not doing their due diligence, not here for the right reasons, not understanding the technology. Some of them were taken advantage of. Look at BitConnect and a few other ICOs out there, investing way too much money, mortgaging their stuff, and thinking that they were going to be a quick rich because of 10x or 70x or whatever promises, and not doing their due diligence. They got wrecked, as they should. They didn't do their due diligence. They put $50,000 into a market that they did not fully understand. And this is the result of that. But Bitcoin will endure. Lightning Network is coming. Shortened signatures. Litecoin just is launching LitePay in a couple weeks. You have Ethereum doing this and that. Other coins are doing different things. This is the time when these bursts happen that you get back to the technology being the forefront and working on this and developing these technologies and seeing to it that these cryptocurrencies, these assets, this Bitcoin, this blockchain technology, if you will, last forever. So I am not bothered by this. It's just another naysay, if you will, about Bitcoin. But expect to see more of these type of articles. I personally just, I read them for amusement. It doesn't affect my stance in the community. My only concern is if there's ever negative regulatory changes to Bitcoin, and I hope that is not the case. I hope that there will be sound regulatory effects, if there even is some to come. Government is very slow. I spoke in the last video or the video before that about a senator introducing a bill that would make ICOs not subject to securities, which I think is very great. I've already spoken about on a couple of different occasions how I think ICOs is a great mechanism for people to raise money for small businesses and getting in the very beginning. It just has to be a very sound business and not just a white paper or vaporware, if you will. And there will be a shakeup in that space as well. It's pretty much already going on. I don't think in general ICOs are going to go away. I think they're going to get refined, tuned up, and become the thing upon which people may, in fact, raise the money. Or, no, I don't want a subscription to the San Francisco Chronicle, fund their businesses. So you have the government set to borrow nearly $1 trillion this year. That's an 84% jump from last year. And that is an obscene amount of money. Another crazy news week is understandable if you miss a small but important announcement from the Treasury Department. The federal government is on track to borrow nearly $1 trillion this fiscal year. President Donald Trump, first full year in charge of the budget. It's almost double what the government borrowed in the fiscal year 2017. And here's the exact figure. It expects to borrow $955 billion in the fiscal year. And according to documents released Wednesday, it's the highest amount of borrowing in 6 years and a big jump from the $518 billion the federal government borrowed last year. The Treasury mainly attributed the increase to the fiscal outlook, and the Congressional Budget Office was more blunt. In a report this week, the CBO said the tax receipts are going to lower because of the new tax law. The uptick in borrowing is another complication in the heated debates in Congress over whether to spend more money on infrastructure than military disaster relief and domestic programs. The deficit is already up significantly, and before Congress allocates more money to any of these areas. Basically, we're addicted to debt. This is not a good thing, particularly considering there's been a sell-off in stocks. The housing market, while it still has recovered, it can easily crash again. And you just cut taxes. So how are we going to pay for this, and who are we borrowing for? Or from, I should say. This is not a good thing, and this is the reason why cryptocurrency exists. Satoshi Nakamoto put his white paper out there. The first block had about the whole concept of the chancellor, borrowing money, quantum easement, the ramifications of the housing bubble and the derivatives in the entire market, and how nobody really went to jail for any of the shenanigans that went on in the market manipulation in there. And yet we are going to borrow almost $1 trillion. This is not sound. This is not sustainable, and it's going to wreck this country. But yeah. So there's that. Let's see if I can get out of here. I hate videos. These video pop-up things just completely freeze my screen and ruin everything. They need to stop it. I have ad blockers, but they seem to get around them, and it's very super annoying. You have to really look into how to mitigate that and stop that from occurring. Oi. So the other story I want to talk about, and I'm going to go in depth later on in the week because I want to read the white paper and get more into that. But the creator of BitTorrent is going to create his own coin called Zcash. Oi. So I guess everybody's coming on Google because of the freaking Super Bowl or something. And it's just totally wrecking everything. Come on. I was able to fix you last time. I don't know why Google Hangouts does that. So there we go. Let's see, because let me, there we go. I'm not going to go vertical. Come on, this isn't World Star. Okay, so we talked about Litecoin. I'm going to go a little bit in depth about it and look at the white paper. The guy who does BitTorrent, he is a very competent developer. He has, he came up with BitTorrent. So I have confidence that his coin is going to be sound. He's seeking what he feels there is a development. As far as development, there's some engineering issues, and there are engineering issues with Bitcoin. And the biggest thing that people always harp on is about the power consumption, which I think is a little ridiculous if you think about the overall financial structure. I mean, how much power do each of the individual banks that exist out there use? In their servers and their buildings and their people and things of that nature. What does that total up to? Knowing that, but it's not useless energy. It performs a function, and it's not wasted really. So I think it's a little overhyped. I understand why we might want to be more efficient in our energy consumption and maybe get into solar or what next story I'm about to talk about. But if there's a coin that can be mined more effectively and efficiently when it comes to energy consumption, or be better, maybe some privacy built in from the beginning, like Monero or Zcash or something like that, it would be something I'll look into. But like I said, I'll be talking about that later in the week. But there is a story about that in the show notes for you to preview. So the story I want to talk about is Tesla and its power battery, the power wall that it has. So hold on. So let's get right here. And paste. And I am not sharing anymore for some reason. Why is that? Oh, yeah. Why am I not sharing? Sharing screen? Oh, because I have to share again. That is buckets. Present to everyone. Oh, wait. It's just one of them days. So Tesla is installing power walls and solar power on 50,000 homes to celebrate the biggest virtual power plant in the world. This is from Electric, written by Fred Lambert. So I saw this article a while back about someone using a Tesla to mine Bitcoin. But imagine a power wall which you can do that. The company's main project has been the 100 megawatt / 120 megawatt power pack project in South Australia, the largest in the world for now. But now, instead of it being a large centralized battery system using Tesla power packs, the new project announces using Tesla's residential battery system, the Powerwall, to create a decentralized energy storage, which basically results in creating a massive virtual power plant. The South Australian Premier Jay Weatherill announced the deal today, the biggest of its kind by far. The 50,000 homes in the state will be fitted with a 5K solar arrays and a 3.5K Tesla Powerwall 2 battery system. It results in at least 650 megawatts of energy storage capacity distributed in the state. Tesla's statement said when the South Australian government invited submission for innovations in renewable and storage, Tesla proposed to create a virtual power plant with 250 megawatts of solar energy and 65 megawatt hours of battery storage was successful. A virtual power plant utilizes Tesla's Powerwall batteries to store energy collectively from thousands of homes with solar panels. At key moments, the virtual power plant could provide as much capacity as a large gas turbine or coal power plant. It will function much like Tesla's giant power pack system, which charges when demand and electricity rates are low and charges when the demand and prices are high. We reported last night that a single battery system managed to make around 1 million in just a few days. Wow. The new project is going to be financed through the power sales and has been assisted by the government with a $2 million grant and a $30 million loan for a renewable technology fund. So if I had one of these homes, I would be setting up a mining rig and mining Bitcoin or whatever cryptocurrency coins are in vogue, are the most profitable. It would be interesting to see if people have been talking about using solar powered energy to mine. There's a few people that experimented with it. It would be interesting to see if that is a very effective and efficient way to mine and not relying, not only not being more effective and efficient, but not reliant on the state infrastructure. To be able to mine, maybe in secret, if you will, like off in some place and mine, and then, I don't know, transmit your block fine via satellite or radio transmissions, or by some other mechanism, or having a fiber optic cable or something and hooked up. There might be potential for this to be where you can eventually have anonymous mining through power walls, if you will. The only downside I would think is I do know for the drug war, you had helicopters that would fly looking at heat signatures, looking for homes in places that utilized too much power. There was those X-ray vans, I think they're like in New York, Baltimore, and Philadelphia, that would drive around and X-ray people's homes, also heat signature homes. So there might be a bit of a downside to that, but I think there could be potentially, if these power walls are as effective and as efficient as they're being demonstrated with Tesla, you can hook a few of these up, have a small mining or even large mining farm operation, maybe in a remote location, use solar powering, maybe have a tie-in to some kind of fiber optic cable, or like I said, through satellite and radio signals, transmit that you found blocks and being rewarded in some fashion. But I guess that's kind of future talk, if you will. Some malicious news, and then we'll wrap this up. No, I didn't want to do that. So while that's doing that, go here. This comes from Ars Technica. So this is a problem in our industry. I'm going to wrap up the last story, which is an update about the Ledger wallet. Malware, malicious malware. You've had the ransom malware. You've had people hacking websites and changing the Ethereum web address for ERC token sales. You've had hacks within browsers where they're able to change the Bitcoin addresses and have it being sent to them. There's been a lot of malicious activity, even hacks and things of that nature. But cryptocurrency botnets are rendering some companies unable to operate. The Samara botnet has infected 560,000 machines, generating as much as $3.6 million. So that's quite a lot of money. Of course, you have that Monero malware where they're hijacking people's computers. I do know that there are some websites, and they'll ask when you go on there, but I'm not sure if they're really truly asking. If you go on their site as a way to fund it, I think Pirate Bay was experimenting with this. I don't know if they're still doing it, where they can use your computer system to mine Monero, but they're asking for permission to do that. This is not. A massive cryptocurrency mining bot has generated as much as $3.6 million worth of digital coin known as Monero since last May, a researcher said Wednesday. The windfall isn't the only noteworthy thing about the botnet. Dub Simoneri is also significant for the 562,000 computers affected and for the ability of its operators to withstand takedown attempts by the white hats. As Bitcoin becomes prohibitively resource intense to mine outside of dedicated mining farms, instead, in Monero, it's increased dramatically. A researcher who uses the pseudonym Caffeine wrote in a blog post published by security firm Proof point. While Monero can no longer be mined effectively on desktop computers, a distributed botnet like the described here can provide quite lucrative for its operatives. Like cryptocurrency botnets known as Adikisa and Zealot, Samara operates point exploit codes developed by the National Security Agency and later published online by a group called themselves the Shadow Brokers. So, of course, I wonder what will happen with Spectre and Meltdown with that vulnerability. I already know that some DAT laws have been found and Amazon web servers and just security in general needs to be upped in the space. But this is not just the cryptocurrency space in general. This is just regular, ordinary people. Like Zealot, Zamari uses other exploited techniques in targeted computers, but it can fall back on the NSA developed internal glue in certain cases, presumably for spreading from machine to machine inside infected networks or when other infection techniques fail on the machine that hasn't been patched. Samara also makes use for the Windows management interface. Proofpoint said that the botnet also likely extracting an efficient performance impact on the business networks and effects by slowing down servers and driving up electricity costs. Caffeine said that Proofpoint worked with other researchers to seize control of the domains used to control Samara. They also reported the illegal activity to mining XRM, the Monero mining pool the botnet subscribed to. Samara operators held onto the botnets by registering new domains and new addresses for mine XRM, although it's possible the operators may have lost control of more than a third of the botnets in the process. So they might not control everything. It's just mining out there to addresses that are not going to generate anything. Earlier this week, researchers from security firm CrowdStrike issued their own report on the botnet that bears some resemblance to Samara, named WannaMine. It also mines Monero and uses Eternal Blue. A CrowdStrike spokeswoman said that the company research believes that WannaMine is distinct from Samara. The research said the botnets contact different mining pool addresses and host their command and control servers with different providers. Another similarity between WannaMine and Samara is the destructive effect they have on the machines and network they infect. CrowdStrike has recently seen several cases where mining has impacted business operations, rendering some companies unable to operate for days and weeks at a time. Company researchers wrote that the tools have caused systems and applications to crash due to such high CPU utilized speeds. So they infect using the internal blue. They infect, computer networks. So say you're a small business and you have like 50 computers. They infect your computers. You can't function or operate. And you're going to basically have to reboot and clean out your entire system, patch up everything that's lost time mitigation, servers. I wonder what's happening with AWS, finding vulnerabilities in different server farms. It's a plague. And I hope there's some solutions out there. I hope people are starting to take patching very seriously so they're not infected like this, updating their servers and things of that nature. So they're not going to have something like what Equinox had and not only get fish and have all the information put out there, but, lost time. You got to pay people. You got to fulfill your obligations to your clients. It's a significant detriment, and you're not getting any benefit from the Monero or anything like that. You're being used against your will, really. And so, yeah. Hopefully, Monero XMR is on it and cooperating and helping, mitigate the damage to other people by preventing these guys from cashing out, if you will. And our final story is the update about Ledger, which is about the man-in-the-middle attack, which I talked about yesterday about a vulnerability in their hardware wallet. So Ledger has released a statement. We're going to read about it. And hopefully this gets all patched out, worked out. And we are no longer seeing this type of vulnerability, if you will. Right here. There we go. Boom, boom. All right. Okay, so Ledger addresses the man-in-the-middle attack that threatens millions of hardware wallets. This is from Cryptorosis Information Security. So the hardware wallet manufacturer Ledger, which sold over 1 million devices last year, has alerted its users to a major attack vector that recently has been discovered. Although there are no reported cases of attack being successfully deployed, the threat to itself is very real. And today, Ledger urged its users, come on, wait. Oh, Ethereum is below $1,845. XRM, I think that's Monero is 217 and Litecoin is 149. So yeah. I think I predict that Litecoin will bottom out 100. I think that's a good pricing point for Litecoin. No, I don't want to chat with people. Ethereum, I think Ethereum might drop down to about 700, though I think it's more of a $500 coin. And XRM probably is going to drop down a little bit more, maybe 150. I think it has greater value than Litecoin for the simple fact of the privacy usage and its benefits to the dark net and just anonymous payments in general. So beware of the man-in-the-middle attack. So hardware wallets are regarded as one of the safest, blah, blah, blah. Ledger wallets generate display, receive address using JavaScript running on the host machine. Malware can simply replace the code. We already talked about this. A solution source. So to avoid succumbing to this attack, there's a means of verifying the receiving address is correct. As the report explains, the Ledger acknowledged in a tweet earlier today. To mitigate the man-in-the-middle attack vector reported here, affecting all hardware wallet vendors, always verify your receiving address on the device screen by clicking on the monitor button there. This solution while effective, is not a fail-safe, and that is reliant on users remembering to following this procedure every time they transact. As the report points out, a proper solution would be to force the users to validate the receiving address before every receiving transaction, just like the wallet forces users to approve every send transaction. That's the system that Trezor now uses with its hardware wallets, banning the use of 2FA simply to access the receiving address. It is hoped that Ledger will follow suit in updating its devices and adopt this methodology. Hardware wallets are still significantly safer than leaving funds stored on a centralized exchange, but no solution is entirely foolproof, as the Ledger case demonstrates. So that solution that the individual pointed out is something that they are asking people to do. Ledger urges users in this cryptocurrency wallet to take steps to avoid falling prey to their address spoofing. So hopefully the word will get out. Ledger will update. So I don't understand why they didn't have 2FA on there already. I guess right now that makes Trezor and actually really Open Dime to be the most safe hardware wallet out there. But again, this is about, checking everything, checking the code, verifying, trust but verify, and verifying everything from the chip to even to the case, everything about the device before utilizing it or accepting it as something solid and good. Ledger is a company. Good company. They responded very quickly with this. I imagine they are working on some type of solution as quickly as they can. I don't want them to rush the code. I want them to make sure that everything is solid and sound. Maybe they should call up their boys in Trezor and see how they put the 2FA into their system so that they either can duplicate it or adapt it in some fashion to their system. But that if you have a Ledger wallet, I encourage you to not only read this particular article, but go to the Ledger Wallet hardware wallet site, find out more information, and maybe not send anything from your wallet from now on to make sure that you're not subject to this man-in-the-middle attack, which is basically changing the receiving address from your wallet into somebody else's, and you losing all your Bitcoin and any other coins that your Ledger wallet might possess on there. I think they do Ethereum, Litecoin, Dogecoin, and a few other coins on there. Don't need to do that. So stop. So that's pretty much it for the show. I just want to do a little update on the Ledger wallet, talk about a little bit about the dollar, things that are going on in the space. Expect to see more financial stories about the bubble burst and how Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are such a bad investment and you shouldn't risk your money and that it's all, for scammers and charlatans and it's not sustainable and it's not sound technology and it's never going to replace the economic system. It's just a bunch of hogwash. You should, invest in stocks and bonds, gold and silver, real sound stuff. You're gonna hear a lot more of that. I would say in the next few months, it's gonna take some time for Bitcoin to recover. I don't think it's gonna recover as quickly as people think. We do come in dips and cycles. Again, I think this is the time for us to really hunker down and refine the technology, get Lightning Network up and running, start working on shortened signatures, getting that core wallet with the automatic SegWit out there, encouraging more people to use nodes. As far as the other cryptocurrencies, getting better wallets out there, even for Bitcoin, better wallets. Samurai wallet, I'm going to do a review of that and talk about what it is they're doing with their Android wallet. Really wish they get out of beta, but I think they're doing the beta thing just to get away from the scrutiny of the Google. Plus, they're constantly doing so many updates and privacy changes. Maybe that's why they're constantly staying in beta for their app. But the things that they're doing and some other wallets that are really, quite frankly, the future of Bitcoin, the usage of cryptocurrency. Um, so there's that, and maybe start, spending some Bitcoin a little bit. Um, maybe buying some server time, buying some mining equipment, buying a computer, um, supporting businesses out there that accept Bitcoin directly instead of using a third party app. Start proving the functionality, the utility of Bitcoin as a payment system, even if they're not accepting, Lightning Network. But as soon as Lightning Network, is if you run up a node or you're able to access it, or when a Lightning wallet comes online, you're experimenting with it a little bit, put up maybe $10 or $20 worth of Bitcoin and, buying a coffee or buying a shirt or buying something small and getting the ball, the gumshoe, if you are, not the gumshoe, but the oil, the wheel turning when it comes to this, so we can start getting to the next stage of cryptocurrency where we start seeing things priced in the unit account of bits and satoshis, and we're not, or Nash, and we're not so tied to the concept of whatever fiat currency that people are operating in whatever region of the world they're part of. When they start thinking in bits, how much of my bits I'm going to part with to get a coffee. Maybe it's not actually, the bits might be the equivalent of 5 USD, but maybe that coffee is not really worth the 5 USD because Bitcoin goes up in value. Maybe it's worth less in bits. Maybe we're going down into satoshis and it's really maybe worth just 25 satoshis to have that, and start pricing things and thinking in terms of Bitcoin pricing, and you can start getting to the unit of account. I hope this is the year of the unit of account, that we start seeing that on merchants and businesses, and people are willing to take that risk and take that fiat loss because the gains they make from holding um, crypto and using crypto and dealing in crypto and paying their employees in crypto and paying their costs in crypto, and trying to complete that cycle and staying out of the current economic system and really going full forward on the new economic system begins this year. So that's it for this episode on this crypto talk. The Madden curse lives on. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you found it informational. The links to everything I talked about are in the show notes. And again, subscribe, like, share. I think for the 28 subscribers that I have, and the people that do view my show, make some comments, troll me if you like. Just don't be too malicious. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the rest of your day whenever you're seeing this. And remember, to the moon.